Bang! What's up, Anthony? How you doing, buddy? How's everybody doing tonight? Hope all is well. I hope my uh my misinformation in the videos didn't go ahead and cause too much trouble. Sorry for the barking dogs in the background. Hold a second. Barking dogs. Hey, that's what you get here. So, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the 133rd episode of Collecting Profit. We're actually going to talk a little bit about collecting profit, or I should say, maybe the lack thereof when it comes to collecting profit. You know, eBay this past month, this through eBay, I guess through the post office this past week, increased the standard envelope to 74 cents, 5-cent increase. And I was trying to look to see if I could look at the history as to what it is. So I'm going to try eBay standard envelope price history. See what it says. Yeah, so it went up 74 cents for 1 ounce, $1.03 for 2 ounces, and $1.32. So it doesn't seem like a lot. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. It's another nickel and so on and so forth. And I guess if you're in the if you're in the market where you're selling, let's say, $5 cards, $10 cards, $15 cards, and using eBay standard envelope, yeah, sure, that's that's really not good. I mean, it's going to hit you, but it's not going to hit you that hard. But there's people like myself and a bunch of other people, and you see that out there, that are in the $1.75, $2 range. And, all of a sudden another nickel, it does add up. Again, it's not like it's, oh my gosh, but I mean, if you sell 20 cards, it's another it's another dollar that you're losing. So you figure, if you sell a card for $1.75, and now people are going to go, oh, they have anything on eBay for comics yet, since you can't use medium mail for those? Not yet. From what I've seen, there was talk that they were going to try and see if they could incorporate something along the standard envelope type of thing, but nothing has come out about it yet. So not sure what they're going to do, but you got to realize, you sell a card for, $1.75, right? So you go ahead and you go out there, you list your cards, and you sell that for $1.75. Let me go ahead and see, because recently I actually had a card that sold for $1.75. Where the hell is it? Right here. Okay, so if I look at that order, $1.75, right? I paid 51 cents for a transaction fee, and I paid 69 cents for a label. So $1.75, when you strip out the fees and everything, it's 55 cents. So now $1.75 card will go down to 50 cents. We'll go down to 50 cents. If you just keep it at 75 cents because, your shipping label has gone from 69 to 75. Again, it might not seem like a lot. It's a nickel, but you know what? When you know, you're only making 50 cents a card on a dollar 75. Now, if you're fortunate and you bought, let's say, a collection out and you're getting cards for a penny or 2 pennies, or maybe, even, less than that because, you got a whole bunch of cards. Hey, Larkin, how you doing, buddy? How's it going? Hope all is well. um, when you have that, okay, you got to think about it. You really got to be in the cheap to do it. Now, for those people that have the scanning software, whether it's Card Dealer Pro, whether it's Chrono Card, stuff like that, and they can get their listings done really fast. Well, at least then you don't have the time factor. Uh, you know, I don't I don't have the scanning stuff. Um, because I just, I mean, not only bec- because I didn't want to pay right now because I wasn't sure, but you know, I didn't want, it was about growing my store and everything. So if I were to buy Card Dealer Pro and have the level of store that I have, if I were to really go ahead and use it the way it's supposed to be used, I'd run out of listings on in my store after the first, I don't know, half a month, maybe 15 days, maybe 2 weeks, 15 days, if I'm actually, staying on top of it, from that standpoint. Um, and at that point, I wasn't ready to go ahead and say, "Hey," or I'm still not ready to go ahead and say, "Hey, let me go ahead and get the next size up and get that many more listings." Because when you think about it, I mean, just in cards alone, let's just forget, when you look at the fees and everything, my monthly cost of my store is $21.95. So 21.95 divided by 50 cents, 43. So if I sell 43.9, so I have to sell a lot of cards just to go ahead and break even. And I'm not selling, I mean, you know, I'm not selling, that many, but you got to figure, right? So, you got to sell, double that fee. So again, 44 cards, which, I mean, you're like, hey, man, 44 cards, you could do 44 cards easily. Not really. For me, other people, yes. For me, no, I don't have that many listings. I got like 3,800 listings, and stuff. And I'm trying, I keep up with it and everything, but I mean, I do okay. I make that number. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I don't make that number. But to all of a sudden then increase that to $50 a month. And then you got to figure, you have to buy in your inventory and the envelopes, and the labels and all the other stuff that goes along with it. And when you really think about it, like there are people out there who, when they're looking at their cost of goods sold, when they're doing sport cards, they count the envelope, the label, the penny sleeve, the either top loader and or hey Craig, how you doing, buddy? The card saver, all they like, and the painter's tape. I don't put that into my cost of goods sold because to me that's an expense to the business. It gets taken care of. Now, does that mean, oh, you don't count it towards, your monthly stuff? No, I do, but I buy 5,000 labels at a time. I buy you know 1,000, 2,000 envelopes at a time. Painter's tape. I bought a case of painter's tape 2 years ago that I am still going through. So from that standpoint, I don't look at it because a lot of the card savers. I bought card savers. I bought 1,000, like whatever, 2,000, 1,000 or 2,000, card savers, last year. So I'm not necessarily, I don't count that part in. To me, it's just the actual card itself. What do I have into it? And then, from that standpoint. So, and I've been given a bunch of cards also. So that number's in there. So if I say, hey, I make 50 cents a card, that's probably, that's okay. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Bo, 1 million Cubs project. He was on the show with Anthony and I. What were we, single digits, Anthony, at that time in episodes, or we were just in the small double digits? He had 55,000, I guess it was, or over 55,000 listings on eBay. He shut them all down. He deleted all of his listings. He's been doing eBay live. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know it was early on. Yeah, but it was either high single digits or low double digits when he was on. Hey John, how you doing, buddy? Good evening. God bless you too, my brother. Um, and he deleted all of his listings. He's on eBay Live now. Now I haven't looked at eBay Live. I don't know how much it might be like whatnot. I don't know that. I don't know that part. I'm going to go ahead and check it out. But he's doing that. You know, um, I want to do the district, and I need to make more of a commitment to it. I probably got to figure out a way how to come on. 4 nights a week, get an hour, and see what the deal is, and see what I can do. Oh, Craig replied, haven't heard back in a month too. Okay. I didn't know if it was one of the things where they reach out to you, or if you have to, apply for. As you can see, I tried doing a rip and ship a couple of last week. Didn't work out well. Um, oh, you did just schedule your first Whatnot show. Nice. What are you going to be selling? Are you going to be sports card centric, or are you going to be an everything type of seller on Whatnot? And it didn't go well, but there are some things that I didn't do right. Um, like I said, I didn't do anything right. I didn't advertise it enough. I didn't get it out to the community enough to where the community could spread the word. So that one was completely, my fault. I have to look low end Magic the Gathering and some all right, so you're doing Magic the Gathering. Nice. Excellent. Um, that's really good. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's stuff that, I definitely want to get get more into it. I definitely want to I should say get more into it. I want to get more consistent with it, I should say, right? Definitely want to get more consistent. This way, it would help. It'll help spread the channel. It'll help, if I could spread the word, that would be better for me to potentially go ahead, again, and just get more people involved and look at, more eyes. The more eyes you can go ahead and get, the better off you could be. I'm trying to bring this up here. So, whoops, let me. Yikes. Hey Craig, if you want, I gave you a wrench, Craig. So if you want to drop your link to if you want to drop a link to your whatnot show, go right ahead and do that, man. You know. Um but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I don't know about the eBay live. I mean, I guess, again, Bo is a sports cards guy, so I'm sure from a sports card perspective, he's able to go ahead and, ship out boxes rather than envelopes. Um, you know, it is, I want to say it's a lot of work, and it is, but it isn't. I mean, it is from a standpoint of is that you're, you know, you're listing your cards or anything. I got a stack here that I started working on. And that actually, I got the rest of them over here. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do from that time. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to, list next? I'm actually gonna consider with the change to 74 cents, I'm actually gonna look at the potential of doing some card lots. Not big lots, but small, small lots, like 6 cards, 8 cards of one guy, if I get 8, Ken Griffey Juniors, 8, you know, A-Rods, 8 Frank Thomas, 8, whoever Ichiros, those guys, stuff like that and everything. Yeah, that's what I have to do. Wendy's. Maybe you get more to do. Oh, that's a good idea. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, like I said, I probably need to go ahead and do that. Find it harder as a new seller like whatnot. Well, no, I did not find district harder as a new seller for whatnot. What I found harder is there's no and look, the truth is I'm not saying I could make a killing, but I mean there was nobody really doing what I wanted to do. Like I haven't looked at a lot of different marketplaces on district versus whatnot. So the big difference, the selling side is basically the same, right? You have auctions, it's all little screens, so sometimes it makes it harder for people. So I understand that because they're trying to, either they even if they're on their PC, it's a small screen, or if they're on the phone or a tablet. So I mean, it's not a very big screen. So I understand that could be a little difficult. Um, so the selling aspect is the same. It's all basically the exact same thing. I think Whatnot has kind of combined shipping already involved. I don't know. I only did 2 shows on Whatnot when Mike was still, really a part of the channel. So it's been that long. District, you can go ahead and you can do progressive shipping. You can not do progressive shipping. You get to pick your price on a second item that somebody buys. So, you do it that way. You set the shipping yourself. So you can have, like if you're an everything seller, you can have small, medium, large, extra large, and then price it that way. To me, the big difference, and I think in my opinion, what made it a little bit, uh, yeah, it does. It does. I mean, when I was doing what I was doing here is that the first item I think was $5 or $6, and then it was a dollar for each item. I probably consider changing that from that standpoint, and maybe make shipping nothing for the second item or the third item or the fourth item. If you buy one item and shipping is $6, that's all it's going to be for you for that night. Um, they don't have standard envelope, but what they do have is combined shipping from show to show to show. So, for instance, back in June, I did like 4 shows in a row. I did, I think I did a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. Yeah, I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I did all 4 shows. So if you came in on Thursday's show and you bought a dollar card, you wanted, Junior Colson, and it was a dollar, and shipping was $4, or shipping was $5, but then every item after that is free. As long as I do not basically, for lack of better words, cash you out, or basically hit the fulfillment of, of land shark picker, if you would come back on show 2, show 3, or show 4, you would not pay shipping on anything. So it goes by show. I don't know if Whatnot does that. So if I have a show, I basically can say, "Hey guys, guess what? When you shop with me, guess what? I'm only going to ship twice a month. I'm going to ship, you know, I'm going to do the second Sunday and the fourth Sunday." And you can say, "Okay, I'm going to have 8 shows, let's say, between the first day of the month and the second Sunday. You, as long as I don't fulfill it, you don't pay shipping, or whatever the combined shipping price is." Some people might charge a quarter, some 50, some a dollar. It depends what it is that you're going ahead and selling. Everything sellers typically don't do the second item as free. A lot of times they'll do if it's a small item and small is like 2 pounds or less, they may charge $5 for the first item and then a dollar for every item, after that, from that standpoint. But again, that's one of the big things that I know that again, I don't remember Whatnot because I haven't done it in a long time, but that was one of the things I liked about District, that if somebody had a bunch of shows in a week and they were saying, "Hey, my first item is $5, but then after that it's it's zero for shipping," then you can do that. So you have that piece. The other big piece, and Anthony just went ahead and said it, is the communities. So the communities are like what do you want to call them? Well, you know what? There's no it's it's crazy for me to go ahead and just talk about it. Why don't I just show it? Where is that? Oh, right here. So this is what you have for DibDit, right? So this is DibDit cards, one of the ones I'm in. And the name is just whatever somebody goes ahead and calls them. Uh seems seems smaller group over district though. Wonder if one gives you a larger potential audience. It does, but I- where so the here's the difference that I see, Craig. It does go ahead and give you the potential. You have the chance to have more followers on Whatnot than you probably do on District, but you can't see it. But right up here in District cards, there's 2,100 members of this right now, right? So there's 2,100. There's live streams going on right now. So if you click on live streams, um, you know, here we go right here. This Nomadic Flippers is live. And then at starting soon is J Picks. Then then you have all these other ones, starting soon, depending on what they are, in did cards and everything. So this is what you have. But what the thing is that you have already a community of 2,100 people that are all into cards. So all they have to do is set it up, and you can see, look, it says right here, it tells you when people are live. Here we are. There's DibDit cards. Here's who is live right now. Picking and punching is doing is actually, they're doing a break. So right now there is a live stream at 10:15. KC Cards is going to go tomorrow, 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, you kind of already have a whole bunch of people that once you're in there, you can set it up. Now you do the exact same thing for followers and stuff like that, where you have your followers, and then they will get an email notification that you're going live or anything. But it's also that if somebody, it's kind of like when you're in the community, you're not really necessarily dealing with a complete, oh, let me look at Whatnot and go, oh, wow, check out this guy who's live right now. Again, both the same. Like I said, this part of the community part and kind of, getting those I don't want to say people that know you, but you know what I mean? Like, people that, like, oh, this person is part of a community, they're not going ahead and they're not going to go ahead and screw me. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on Dibdit, or I shouldn't say on District, because it does. And there are you can join multiple communities. Like, you could do a search of sports cards. And if there's 10 communities, you can join all of them, and then you could apply to be a seller in some or all or none. So you could be a seller, buyer, just like Whatnot. But the application process is really just, let me hit, apply to sell, and then the owners, look at it. You don't have, like, I remember when I had to do Whatnot, I had to send like pictures of my inventory to show them that I had enough inventory, and so on and so forth. So So from that standpoint, again, both of them, I don't necessarily know one's better than the other. I know, if you talk about the issues from breakers and stuff like that, you have that there. You have the same type of issues, as they grow, you'll have the exact, same things and everything. um, like for instance, Dibdit cards, they're just starting to do breaks right now. And why is that? Makes a lot of sense. Because you have a captive audience, you may not have as many people who like breaks. So people like I don't, from a searching perspective, somebody would have to search, for breaks. It's not broken down where you can say, oh, sports card breaks, and then all the marketplaces show up. You kind of have to search that way. Whereas you can look at categories and stuff like that, on whatnot and get broken down. Both have good points. Um, but it's basically the same thing I said. It's the community and all those type of things. Um, and you can start. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, buddy? Hope all is well, pal. Um, and you could start a marketplace. I mean, let's say, Anthony and I wanted to start collecting profit, marketplace. We could start a marketplace. We can start inviting all people to be a part of it and everything. And you basically have a place to go where you can, do live sales. you know right now, Anthony and I try, we would do it on YouTube and stuff like that and everything. And you're worrying about, with the shipping and all the other kind of stuff, things that are kind of hard to offer, versus, what you could do, on a dibdit or on a district. Set up a marketplace and just, and do your own thing. You let who you want to let in. If you only want to do a cards one, you do a cards one. If you want to do clothes, housewares, there are people that do plants, have live plant sales. There are people who go on Dibdit who buy. There he is, the birthday boy. Happy birthday. Dom's probably gonna come on in a little bit and go, "Hey, you started at 9:30. You started at 9 o'clock." Um, so you can there are people who and look, don't get me wrong, people do it on, I don't know if people do it on whatnot. I really don't know, but I've seen people on district. They go to their storage unit. Hey, I bought a storage unit. They open the door, bang, they start a live sale right there. You don't have to have all the information in. You can say, hey, small. It's easy to go ahead and do. Yes, John, I can send you I can send you a link to district. You know what I'm saying? But that's along the lines. So like I was saying, like if the card community wanted to start a marketplace just so you can have sales. And it's basically, you could do the same thing. You could hang out the exact same way that you do if you did a YouTube sale. If somebody advertised, I'm going to have a YouTube sale, or if somebody advertised, I'm running a break on YouTube. You do it. All that stuff is the exact same. The big part, of the best part is that at least when someone joins Dibdit, they put all their information in, so you're not worried about PayPal and money, or and then getting their address so you can go to Pirate Ship or stamps.com or whatever it may be to do the labeling. You do it all right there. All you got to remember is what cards go to what person, and then at the end of the day, you can print out your pick list to make sure, if you decide to go in great detail of your thing. But if you just want to say cards on screen number one, and as long as cards on screen number one was sold to Anthony, and you put that in, like, that's why I was using my card sorter. I just put index cards and I wrote Anthony on it, and anything Anthony bought went in there. If Craig bought anything, if Jeff bought anything, if John bought anything, if Locke bought anything, each person had a slot. And I would do their screen name, not their name that I know them by, because just in case what's difference. And you print out, you go to fulfillment, bang, you you package their cards, whether it's small enough for a bubble mailer or large enough where you got to put it in a box. You put in the weights just like you would if you were shipping on eBay or any place else, but the label and everything gets created for you. You're not worrying about addresses or nothing like that. It's already there. So um, again, and again, like I said, that part to me is the same as that's the same as whatnot from that standpoint. But you know, it's the community aspect, as Anthony said, that is, that is the larger part. And again, if you want to, and you make the rules. If you start a marketplace, I go ahead and I set up there and I say, I'm going to start a marketplace. And I say, look, you can come on here. You're free to sell whatever it is you want to sell. The one thing you can't, the one thing I don't want you, one thing you rule you can't do is in your streams. I don't want you talking about other marketplaces, just this marketplace. And if someone comes back and says, hey, Michael, so and so in his stream on your channel kept talking about going over to his Spotify store. Okay, fine, that's cool. Bam, you come in, boop, you're banned from the channel. You're banned from the marketplace. So there's things you could do. Like I said, I like it. Um, it really with the changes to now again, you still have, the fees, you still have your fees. So it's not like it's fee free. You still have, your processing, for credit card. So you still have all of that stuff also. It's not like there's no fees, no nothing. It's not like there's any free stuff that side. So you still have all of that. It's just a matter of fact is that, if you were to try and do a dollar card sale on your YouTube channel, you know, and say, hey, your first item, buy is $5. After that, it's nothing. Then you have to do all the math and tell someone, hey, how much do I owe? From that standpoint, where if you're doing dollar card auctions, $5 card auction, $10, whatever it may be, you don't have to do the math yourself. That'll all be done. The only time you have to do the math, which is another thing that I want to try and do, if I can, I have too many things I want to try and do, obviously, but I want to do claim sale. Where basically I'm going to take a stack of cards and we're going to go through and I'm going to say, hey, Doug Flutie, Devin Hester, Anthony Munoz, Emmett Smith, Randy White, Troy Polamalu, blah, 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 whoever it may be. And then in the chat, people would just say, claim. Hello, claim. Here you go. Hey, claim Polamalu, claim Doug Flutie, so on and so forth. And then at the end of the night, okay, hey, you bought 10 dollar cards. Excellent. I can create a listing right there in district. Say, okay, hey, Anthony, here's yours. Click that, pay. Do you want them shipped? No? Okay, great. Oh, you do want them shipped? Hey, you gotta buy shipping. Click on the shipping icon. Go to the buy it now. Click on shipping and purchase a shipping. And then you're done. It makes it a lot easier. Here we go again. Send a package to Philly. Supposed to be there today. How the hell does a package go from supposed to go to Philly, end up in Lubbock, Texas? Dang. You should, John, if you want. And if you join, let's say, Dibdit Cards and stuff, we can do a live sale together too. That's not like you can do a live sale. It just now the shipping is we can't combine the shipping, right? If they buy from me, they got to pay shipping to me. If they buy from you, they got to pay shipping to you. But you don't have to do it alone. You can see how other people do. You can go, back and forth and stuff along those times. I used to do dime quarter, 50-cent, dollar card sales on YouTube. So much. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of math to do where really, you'd only have to do it if you did let's say a claim sale type thing. You might be able to do 50-cent cards. I haven't tried doing 50-cent card auctions. Maybe you can. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, John, I think would do really good. Where can I source the right price? I don't really have any shows locally. What I would do, Clint, is I would look at online auction houses, high bid, Goodwill. I would look at those types. I would look at those types of places because a lot of times those places, they'll sell. Now you have to watch out because some might be local pickup only, so you would want to see if they offer shipping. So that's something to double check. Anthony's saying if you don't have card shops, yard sales, flea markets, storage units. Craig Landshark Picker, who's in here, he had a massive score with cards through a storage unit. But if you're looking for stuff online, you know, shop Goodwill, and then online auction houses and stuff. Um, I mean, I understand that. I mean, but like, you look at like Bo, 1 million Cubs, he buys Goodwill pallets. He may pay $500 for a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot, a 4 foot by 4 foot cube of a pallet of cards, from Goodwill. But now he may change that because obviously if he's not doing bulk or $1.75 cards on eBay, maybe that changes. But he was doing like that. You get your diamonds in the rough and all those types of things. I have seen that there's a couple of YouTube channels that I will watch every now and again if they happen to pop up. They don't post a lot of videos, but they're like there's like a couple of channels that I know that they do a lot of Goodwill stuff. That's basically that like 95% of their sourcing is online through like Shop Goodwill. Um, Clint, I mean, Facebook Marketplace is a potential, um, but a lot of people that I've noticed, I've looked on Facebook Marketplace a lot, and a lot of those people think that they're Don 88 Donruss, they're 92 Fleer, they're 87, tops. That they think all those cards, are worth, $10, $12 a piece. And they're like, oh, 400 baseball cards, $600, all vintage cards. Yeah, not true. What's up, Manny Ice? So that's another place you could check, Clint. So uh, there are people who put, um, ads. There are people that'll go on Facebook and they'll just blast to Facebook, "Hey, I will do," so on and so forth. Buyer beware, deals can be had from scummy people. Yes, 100%, 100%, a very true statement. Um, you get a snapshot and you go, "Oh my gosh, there are some great cards in there." And maybe one card. Um, the other thing I would definitely be leery of, if they have to put in the title or in the description, if they put this comment, cards not searched, stay away. If you have to put in there that the cards are not searched, I'm believing the opposite and that you have searched through the cards. So if you see something, say, oh, cards not searched. Yeah, sure. Sure. So from that standpoint. But it's fun. You gotta be a little creative and stuff. Again, if there's card if there are some card shops, you get there, you start going a little more. Um, then they get to know you. And then, once someone gets to know you and they seeing what you like and stuff like that, and you talk to them, and you befriend them, you become a friend. Then who knows what happens? Maybe they remember, oh wow, Clint comes in all the time. Oh, Clint likes wrestling cards. Aha. Clint likes NASCAR cards. Aha. Or non-sport cards. Aha. I'm gonna hold those next time I see Clint come in the building. I'm gonna let him know, right? Because you may be one of the few people that buy wrestling, the few people that buy non-sports, so on and so forth. So it's all kinds of stuff, like that. Um, not knowing where you live, um, you may have to take a shot and go to, one of the bigger card shows. Uh, like for instance, if you're in the, I don't know, let's say you're an hour and a half, 2 hours from Chicago. Well, the National is in Chicago, it's actually, well, what, 2 weeks from now. Um, you can get great deals there. There are a lot of there are a lot of finds in the dollar boxes, 50-cent boxes, quarter boxes. They have 10-cent boxes there also. You have to put in the work. But if you were to get there when the doors open and you hit a couple of tables and you sit there and you go through, and there those people will deal with you. You go ahead and you put up a stack of cards like this, you know, a lot of times they'll charge you, 50% of what it should have been. So they are willing to deal there some more. So that's something to be thoughtful of. You may not have a card show in your town, but if you're near Dallas, um, if you're near what is it, Chantilly, Virginia, you know, out west, if you're near Burbank, California, Chicago, uh, Pittsburgh, if you're near Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Card Show. I have not been, but Anthony can tell you, about that one. So you may have to get a little creative. Uh, you know, one thing great about the hobby is that, excuse me, it is not one size. It is not the same size for everybody. It's one size, fits all, no matter what. Is all different levels, in the hobby and everything. Thinking I need to think of a big card to check off this year's national. I got Barkley, Ewing, and Carmelo rookies last year. uh Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani. Unless you want basketball. Let's see. Michael Jordan. That's one you could consider. Pittsburgh Card Show is awesome. They're now the fourth. Yeah, okay. So they're the fourth biggest show in the country. That's how big they are. They're right outside of Pittsburgh. I gotta go. I gotta get my ass in the car and and drive up there and spend a weekend at the card show. And we've had Mark had been on the show before promoting it and stuff like that. From that standpoint. So sometimes you have to get creative when you when you when you don't have anything right there. He does. He said I could have a table if I go ahead and I come up there. Take all my boxes with me. So but that's you know, it's kind of the it's funny that as the hobby has um developed, changed, or maybe the hobby has just come back down to earth per se. A lot of us don't really know what the hobby was like before 2020. The hobby changed a lot when 2020 happened. you know you could go to a show and get really good cards and not pay crazy prices. Then 2020 came. People had extra money. People were looking at their old cards and oh my god, boom. And now it's coming back. And there's there's still deals to be had if, you know, you're willing to go ahead and work. The that's that's the big thing. I remember when we went the first time we went to the National, Mike and I, and we went by um, Ryan Card Collector Two's table, and he had dollar boxes, and he went ahead and had unbelievable cards between color, numbered, you know, I- and numbered not necessarily like all, like the tops to, 1942 out of 2025, right? Like, to 149 to 99s to 75s and everything. And if you put in the work, you could find those good cards. And I didn't get a chance, but there was somebody talking to him about it, and he's like, and it was the guy who had a stack. He's like, man, I can't believe how much good stuff you had in your dollar boxes. And he said, well, he goes, you got to understand something. For the August show, he goes, I start putting boxes together in February. If somebody pops off or if things start going well, I don't go through those boxes anymore. So you could find it. If you do the work, you'll find it. Definitely wouldn't regret setting up at a larger show, insane amount of people. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. So, um, you know, there are deals, there are bargains to be had. I think now, if you put in the work, you'll be okay. That to me, that's what part of it is right now. It's all about putting in the work. If you put in the work, you'll uh you'll do okay. You can really go ahead and set your collection, off. And conversely, if you are going ahead and um, you know, trying to sell your cards, again, a big show, better, more people, and the stuff that you would think wouldn't sell will sell. From that way. Plus, could always crash on account. That's true. That is definitely true. From that standpoint. So it's you know, I don't. I mean, I don't go to as many card shows as I probably would like to. But then again, I don't know. Here, what makes it hard is that there's really only, like two shows, but they're basically all the same people are at the shows. So it's, and a few times when I've gone, you know, there wasn't a big change over in inventory. So when you're going to a small show and the same vendors are showing up, you have something along that. You have that to deal with. Different than if you go to a giant show and then you have, hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands of people walking through. There's so many more people looking for different things. Excuse me. So it's all it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. You know, I've said it once. I say it again. I said it. I know I've said it many times on collecting profit. I've said it on a lot of my videos. Is the one thing about this is a hobby, and hobby the way you want to hobby. It's as simple as that. You know, I think I know for a fact that I have changed. In the 5 years over the 5 years of when I start, or 4 years, let's say. Not really going to count 2020, but getting into it a little bit more in 2021. So over the last, 4 years, I have definitely changed, um, the way I do things. Yeah, you know, and here, like I said, I'm surprised that here the only real big shows that we have is Culture Collision. And Culture Collision is just it's a hodgepodge, because there's sneakers, there's all kinds of, you know, it's that type of stuff. It's not just cards. So it's not as big as it probably could be if it, but I'm surprised it's not a Southeast card show, from that standpoint. I know Gate City, Paulie was when we were talking at Anthony's wedding. Paulie was telling me, that North Carolina, there's a lot of competition for shows. There's probably like 4 or 5 guys who put on shows, so they're always trying to, outdo each other a little bit. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to to going up there and seeing what the deal is. Top fans. So, but it's all good. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. Like I'm really trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my eBay stuff. I really, really am. I would have cards for $1.94, $1.97, and I would have best offer turned on them. And I would take offers at $1.50 and hope that I could go ahead and get a guy to, or a girl, whoever, or the purchaser, see if I can get him to buy it for $1.75. And now I'm not 100% sure if that's the right way to go. Now, I'm not going to make any changes anytime soon. And what I mean by soon is I probably won't make any changes, you know, until basically after the national, even though I'm not going, and that's just because I have 50 listings every single day between now and August 2nd, ready to go out. I have 25 scheduled to drop at noon Eastern and 25 to drop at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I have those all scheduled out. So that at least I have I have cards dropping every single day, 50 cards every single day. But it's weird. It's like over the weekend, um, I had 12 cards sell maybe. Then Monday, like Tuesday was nothing. Today's Wednesday. Uh Today is Wednesday and I have, one sale. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I am consistently listing even though they're scheduled, so I don't know. Is that a difference? Is the scheduled listings different than, regular listings? Is that a difference? Is it listing throughout the day, dropping a card every, 5 minutes? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I it's the algorithms. It's just it doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. Like I said, uh, no cards yesterday. Today's Wednesday. I have one card and I have one offer that I have to figure out if I want to accept. 4 sales on eBay. Yeah, 3 down. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Earlier, John, before you got on, um, you know, I'm, I was trying to, get at least on my low end cards. I'm trying at least to get, $1.75 for that card. But now with eBay going to 74 cents, um, 74 cents, final value fees, the transaction fee, calculate, including international. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at on a $1.75 card of making 50 cents. That's why I've been doing a lot of end and sell similar. So what I do is every single day I go up to that little buy it now. There says all these buy it nows are going to be ending, and I take all my cards, I end them right there. Then I go to my ended listings. I create drafts out of all of them. Then I go into my drafts and I just say, okay, these 25, 9 o'clock tomorrow. These 25, 12, or 12 o'clock tomorrow. These 25, 8 o'clock tomorrow. These 25, Friday. Then all 25 on Friday. Boom, 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 boom. Go from there and everything. But the listing is the worst part. You know, um, I don't know. You know, that, that's why I want to do, more district stuff, than anything else. That's what I really want to I really want to try. I really want to try you know, the dib dip more. But a lot of times, unfortunately, uh it's finding a time slot too, right? So that's one of the other things, with dib dip, like, what they like to try and do is, go for an hour, maybe a little more than an hour, uh, unless or stay a little bit longer unless there's somebody coming after you. So, like, for instance, if I was going to do a sale at 8 o'clock tomorrow night and somebody else is going to start that sale at 9 o'clock, they want you to have, for lack of a better, like, seller's etiquette of saying, okay, I'm going to end my show, a couple of minutes after 9 o'clock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send all my people to the next show. I don't know. We'll see. eBay is doing the ship once a week thing now too. Well, I missed that completely. I'm going to have to look at that. I missed that completely. I did not hear about that. I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to check that out. Thanks a lot, Lachlan. I will definitely look at that. eBay weekly shipping. I'll have to see. Once a week shipping. I'll have to look at that. I'll have to look at that. Yep. But buy something and it sets a time. The payment will be processed and you can keep adding wins to it. Wow. That's pretty darn cool. I'm definitely I'm definitely gonna have to go through some of the seller updates and see if that is in there. That is very cool, man. Very cool. I don't know how the hell I missed that, but hey, I did. So excuse me. Oop, log in. If you have a link to where you saw that, please go ahead and drop it in the chat. That's really cool. Be a big game changer. A big game changer again, but a big game changer for only those people that buy multiples from you. I am, sir. Excuse me. See what hobbyist okay. I will definitely look for it and see. Um, you know, um okay, so it's certain buyers. All right. I like that. Very good. Very good, very good. But again, like card hobbyist, that was one of the things that I liked about the dib did is that even though you end your show, you then you have to go and still fulfill your shipments. So if you don't fulfill any shipments because you're having a sale the next day, the week after, day after that, and day after that, if you were going to do sales for 5 days in a row, if you don't fulfill any of those, anybody that purchased from you gets combined shipping, after they buy their first item at any one of those days. Like I said, I don't know if um I don't know if Whatnot does that. I haven't done a show. Like I said, it's been gosh, 3.5, 4 years since I did a show on Whatnot. So I couldn't tell you. But that, like I said, that's one of the things that I like, about the district stuff. I mean, I have one person who has told me to hold on to their stuff and they'll let me know when to go ahead and ship them. They've already paid for everything. You know, they've paid. They've paid for the order. The order's sitting right there. I just haven't gone ahead and shipped it yet. They told me, don't, nope, hold on. I want to come back to more of your sales. So we'll see. I'm hoping that it's more it's that hard thing. It's kind of like what Big John was saying. You know, it's take the time to list on eBay or take the time to organize boxes of cards to do, dollar auctions, on Dibdit, and you take take get some 4-row boxes, but I'm only you know what, guys, I do two of those rows, each night. I'm gonna go through these 2 rows. When I hit that one, that's it. I'm gonna be done. Hey, you know, let me know if you want me to hold or go ahead and ship. Simple as that. Boom. Or then, because I'm gonna do a show tomorrow night, and if you want to hold your cards, you can hold them. This way you won't have to pay any extra shipping if you see something tomorrow. Because if you see something tonight, and shipping is $5, but then for the first item, then every item after that is free. If you tell me to ship it on Wednesday, because I had a sale on Wednesday and I have a sale on Thursday, and you buy another card, well, because you asked me to ship Wednesday stuff, now a lot of times people will say, hey, look, just so everybody knows, I'm not going to ship until Friday. I'm having 3 sales this week. It's an opportunity for you to get combined shipping and save a lot of money on shipping. So come back to any one of those 3 that come after you come to the first one, come to either one of the other 2 that I'm going to have, and then you can save money that way. So it's definitely a big plus in my opinion. Excuse me. Again, I don't know if Whatnot does it. Maybe they do. Who knows? You know, Anthony. So you go into the national and you want to. You know who I think you should target? I think you should target Caitlin Clark. I think that would be a rookie for you to go ahead and get. Caitlin Clark. If you want to go old school basketball, how about a Sean Kemp or a Gary Payton? You mentioned Carmel alone. What about John Stockton? You know, those are some potential ones that you could that you could go for. Um, I'd say Angel Reese, but her cards are probably all bricked together. Oh, yeah, I said it. I went there. Yep. Um, how about a Rhea Ripley rookie card? Right? Rhea Ripley. That might be one to go ahead and think of. All right, all right, all right. But I think Rhea Ripley would be a good one. So you go get a wrestling rookie card. She'd be a good one to have. Um, well, see, used to. So that means you don't anymore. So that would be a good one to get. Other basketball players, I mean, I guess it depends, how far back you want to go, how far new do you want to go, man? Kiki Vandaway. Man, Larkin, that's a really good call right there. Kiki Van Bernard King. How about you being a Cavs guy? Do you have like Mark Price? Do you have Brad Doherty? How about Larry Nance or Larry Nance Jr.? Definitely Rhea or Stephanie. I have a couple of Rheas that I haven't done anything with. I don't know if the Stephanie. I don't know. I have two blasters of WWE Select sitting in a box right over there. Kelly Trapuka. Craig Elo. Dang. The names are coming out. Anthony, hope you got pen and paper, Anthony. Although Anthony probably had the Cav guy, the Cavaliers, Anthony probably has already. Um, you know, you know, yeah, I'm trying to think, like God Shem God, yeah. Yep, I'm sure you got obscene quantities of those of those guys. How about Dominique Wilkins? Spud Webb. Dude, Spud Webb and Muggsy Bogues. Get those two together. Hey, Anthony, don't forget, if you need a display to display some of your cards, I know a guy. Yeah, as a wedding gift. Oh, that's so nice. Danny Ferry. Yeah, but if you need a way to display him, let me know. I know somebody. Trying to think, I mean, you being a baseball guy from Pittsburgh, have you thought maybe about Willie Stargell, a guy who was forever a Def Leppard man? How about Andre Kirilenko, AK-47? Oh, nice. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. But from a baseball perspective, Willie Stargell, I mean, he missed the Pirate. That would be that might be a guy to go ahead and take a look at. Um, Obviously hockey, you got Mario Lemieux, Crosby. I'm not sure what those would be like. Uh, from that standpoint, you know, but considering getting more into older Pittsburgh guys that I could afford, Roberto Clemente and Honus Wagner are a little north of my right. Yeah, they probably would be, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's what I'm saying. A Willie Stargell. Um, I'm not. I'm a baseball guy. I'm trying to think of guys that were pirates for a long time. I mean, obviously, you could go ahead and get you could get Barry Bonds. I mean, I'm sure his rookie card is probably not that much, but then he left. So I don't know if you're looking for Pittsburgh centric guys, like Troy Polamalu, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, maybe, Mel Blount, some of those guys from football and stuff. So, yeah, Def Let Shrimp. Holy cow, that was the name. Kutch. Yes. Yeah. Kutch would be another good Pittsburgh guy. Even though he left for a little bit, he came back. Uh, you know, I mean, that's if you're looking for, you know, uh, let's see, let's see. Bill Matlock. Bill Matlock would be a good one. Uh, definitely was the man. Yep, Sam Perkins. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're really looking at some, um, if you're really looking at some guys to go ahead and consider Bill Mazeroski, Ralph Kiner. He was another one from a baseball perspective. Trying to see, just looking to try and see if you. I mean, there have been so many guys that have been pirates. You know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really see. But yeah, that's the way to go. That's something to definitely go ahead and and look into. From that standpoint. Some guys you can go ahead and find. Probably again, not that they'd be super cheap, but they might not be that expensive. Sam Perkins. You do like Sam Bowie. Say, hey, ooh, look, could have had Michael Jordan, but I'm going with Sam Bowie. So let's see. So I owe John, I owe you a dibbed it link. Uh, look, here's the link to this is again, this is the one I'm in. Uh that's the one I'm in. You could click on that link. If you already have an account, I think you just go ahead and set up and everything. Well, we have to go from that standpoint. I'll be going to Gen Con the same week, so I may have to save a little money. What is Gen Con? What is the Gen Con? Yep. District is oh, gaming conference. Nice. Gaming show. Very cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like a lot of fun, I tell you. Sounds fun. Sounds fun. Is it always that week, or is it just happened to fall like that this time? Oh wow. Well, sorry, man. So sorry. Yeah, but yeah, shows are good. Everything's good. Can't complain about stuff. Oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to nationals this week. This year I was hoping to go, but I had my hotel and everything, was going to drive up and stuff, but work stuff had changed, and not going to be able to go and stuff, which I was bummed out because from I, my plan was to really try and hit the dollar and below boxes, really even try and focus on the quarter and 10-cent boxes, because a lot of times when you go to the bigger shows, you know, they're base cards, but you could pick up a whole bunch of uh, Ken Griffey Juniors. You could pick up a lot of Hall of Fame players at 10 cents a card. And that's football Hall of Famers, baseball, hockey, basketball, and stuff like that. So, uh, yeah, the national is, yeah, it is definitely weird going for one day, because you really have to be laser focused, and you either have to, let's say, if I was going for one day, um, I mean, if I was going for one day, I think the only way I could really do it would be if maybe there was one or two cards that I was looking for, and then I would say, okay, that's my focus. I'm starting, this row here at this end, and I'm just going to go up and down, up and down, up and down every single row to see if I could go ahead and find the card that I'm looking for. Um, or walk around real fast, or and see, you know, um, you know, see maybe if you know somebody who'd been there the day before, and say, hey, is there a guy with quarter cards? Is there a guy with 10-cent cards? And they may point you in a direction, and you can go check it out, that way. That would definitely be one of those. You know, uh, one of those things for one day. Because at least if you go for multiples like we have in the past, we go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sometimes we go Sunday, if not. But at least like if you go Thursday, you could kind of use Thursday at least the first half of. If you're going for, let's say, even if you're going for just the 2 days, you could always use the first half of the first day as kind of like a scouting mission. Say, look, I'm not really going to buy. I'm not really going to stop and look unless I have one or two cards in my mind and I happen to see a guy who has a bunch of said player that I'm looking for and focus on that. But you can walk around and you can try and say, okay, hey, get your little map out. All right, look, ooh, quarter cards here, 50-cent cards here, 10-cent cards here. At least you can do that, let's say, the first half of the first day, take a break, and then go back. And this way, then the second half of day one and all of day two, I can be laser focused on what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, if I was going to the national for the first time, I'd never been before, I would not go with that kind of attitude. Because if you've never been to the national is a giant museum. You will you will see stuff, not just cards, but you will see other memorabilia that you had never seen before. Stuff that you didn't even realize existed. From that. Look at that. Way to go, card hobbyist. You would again, you would see things that you would never saw before. That was the crazy thing. That was the that was the one thing that got Mike and I the first time, and it was very different. The second time we went, it was a lot different. Third time we went, which was last year in Cleveland. Uh, Again, we were focused. Ziggy, what is happening? How you doing, buddy? How's everything going? Hope all is well with you. Um, you know, and that's the way to go. That's the way I would do a big show. The multiple day shows. If there's, I mean, obviously there are some shows that are just one day, and you. Oh, you're at the summer league. Nice, nice. Are you prospecting for the upcoming basketball season while you're there too, sir? Congrats there. You know, you know, there's a guy who it's the one thing that this guy right here that I basically have I changed. And this is the truth, Ziggy. And I'm not saying it just because you're here. But there, I have changed how I look and how I get into breaks. I don't look at getting into. At one point, it was I only wanted my favorite teams in breaks, I don't do any of that. I don't do that anymore because this guy right here, you know, free on his channel. You didn't have to buy a course or anything. Kind of explained, ways to go ahead and do breaks to improve in, improve your odds of getting a return. Yep. That's one of the things that I started looking like. I never looked at. I mean, honestly thinking like I never looked at a checklist before. But until I start, watching you and you were talking about it and how you were going for going teams for you, how you wouldn't go for even the same team um in the next product. So if Prism came out, you went maybe one way. If Select came out, you went another way. And it made honestly, it made me think different. It made me look at a checklist and go, ooh, why do I want this team? My team that I always would get only has 6 cards. I don't want to do that. So yeah. So I thank you. You definitely made me look different in the breaks and everything. I look at the checklist and I look at, where the potential is versus that. Well, you're very welcome. I think, hey, look, a lot of people don't share that kind of stuff, man. You don't hear that there's not a lot of people, it's like, hey, I'll give you all the secrets. All you need to do is join my Patreon for 29.95 a month, and I will send you everything you need to know. You know what I'm saying? You're not like that. So I appreciate that. When you share that information, it definitely helped me in the long run. All right, Big John, signed by the district. Oh boy, Anthony, he's in trouble now. But appreciate you stopping by, sir. Um, yeah, but but like I said, going to shows and stuff like that, you know, the biggest thing I could tell you is if you go to a show, go with a plan, have a plan for your show, sit down, relax, think about what you're doing. Like when Anthony's saying, "Hey, I got to try and map it out." It keeps you more focused. But again, some of these big shows, especially the national, the first year we went to the national, it was like, oh my gosh, it was overwhelming. Seeing cards that you've never seen before, seeing cards that you like, never always heard about the 52 mantle, had never seen one, went to the national, and oh my gosh, one was sitting right in front of me. So Bradley Beal to the Clippers. Wow. Von Miller to the Commanders. Holy cow. Man, I love it. I tell you that, Phoenix. I guess I give him credit for going for it, but bleh, Miller is washed. Miller is washed. I mean, he could get a little bit of a bump. I mean, and I don't, and just because they got Chase Young on the other side, so he may get free a little bit more, but probably not that much. Probably not that much. um, from that standpoint, there's a lot of movement. I'm very happy by Jets locked up Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, which is which is very, very monumental. Clippers are all, yeah, it is a paper roster. No, they lost them coming. Oh, they did? I forgot about that. Clippers trading SGA, some franchises. You got that right. You got that. How about Oklahoma? Hey, how about OKC locking up their big three? That's pretty damn good. That is pretty damn good. Um, yeah, but the interesting thing, and a lot of people, don't realize, um, and it just goes to show you how, yeah, they did get their own arena. It seems pretty cool from what I saw. It definitely seems pretty good, pretty cool. But that's a massive, it's a big signing. Those the Wilson and the Saw Gardner are massive signings because, for the longest time you had to go all the way. So before Quinnen Williams, uh, Leonard Williams back in 2015 was like the last Jet to sign a second contract. First round picks, a lot of them didn't sign; they were gone after 1 year. What's up, Brent? That's all right, man. Glad you're here. Yeah, 100%. And they still got draft picks. That's the scary part. They still have assets to trade. Um, so yeah, so that's it's very big for the Jets to sign those two first round picks. That's not something that normally happens. Uh, but like basketball again, a lot of trades going on. I think you look from a standpoint of trying to see who to look at and everything. This rookie class is going to be very interesting. Uh, I think an Ace Bailey could go ahead and potentially have some hidden value. Maybe not right up front. He may have, there may be some people that will sour on him because of his attitude and what he did. But the dude, he is pretty. He's pretty damn good basketball player from that standpoint. So, uh, we'll see. We will see. But you know, again, trades there. We're getting baseball. We had the All-Star game, man. I screwed up those two videos, huh? Telling people not to watch or what to watch. Boy, I am moron there. But second half of the baseball season coming up. We are what 15 days from the trading deadline. So it's going to be interesting. You figure the next 15 days, so the next 10 days worth of games or so will probably decide who are sellers, who are buyers. Uh, so that could change a lot. I mean, we think a team might be a team that doesn't want to go ahead and trade anybody today, but then all of a sudden, a little bit down, they have a bad streak here. They fall out a little bit. Hey, all of a sudden they are not sellers. I mean, they are not buyers. They are become sellers. And then maybe some people you think are sellers right now, but who the hell knows? They go on a hot streak over these next, 10 days or so. So about eight or nine games over the next 10 days. You may have thought they were going to be sellers, but now they are buyers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 10 days, 2 weeks for baseball, and see what some people, what some of the players bring back as far as, assets and stuff. A lot of teams out there. I'm sure a lot of teams are going to be calling up Pittsburgh. They have a couple of guys. See what happens with them. You know, Kansas City. I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me if I don't know, locking it, but it wouldn't surprise me if maybe some teams call about Seth Lugo. or maybe even like a Michael Waka, some guys who can go ahead and throw out there and eat up some innings here in the second half of the in the second half of the season. But who knows, man? Who knows? We will find out. Oh man, I'm getting low on the H2O. The Royals are going to be buyers. Interesting. That is interesting, sir. I didn't know they would be buyers. Why would the they are buyers, not sellers? Why would the Royals be buyers? They're 12 games out because they're only 4.5 out of the wild card. That's the thing, folks. That's what's going to go. Um, they are. But they are 9.5 games out of the wild card, and I don't think they would be sellers. To be honest with you, I think it would be whether or not they would be buyers, because I'm not sure who they would want to sell on their team. I don't think they have anybody. Um, I don't think they have anybody who is what do you call it? Is close to a what do you call it? Close to free agency. No, no, no. That's what I'm saying. Right, yeah, a lot of their guys are signed long term, uh, but they're the type that from a pitching perspective. Yeah, I think you're right. I think those might be the only guys that they would be willing to go ahead and let go of. I'm not sure like who else they want to go. I mean, you could do Murphy and turn it over to Baldwin behind the plate. So Murphy is maybe, but for maybe if somebody needs, maybe a guy who, if they have a platoon at the catching position right now, and maybe they want to upgrade that, Murphy could be again if he's really the only one that I look at I could think of. They have Albies, no Olson, no Acuna, no Harris Jr., no. I mean Harris the second, no. I mean no one's going to take Profar. So I don't even know really what they have to pretend. The best thing they have to trade, yeah, Iglesias or Asuna, and then again, like I said, maybe a Murphy. And I think honestly, I think that's a push. The thing about with Iglesias and Osuna, they're both 34, 35 years old, also. So as far as I'm concerned, you know what? They don't have to make a move, and they could just keep continually going that to south. Right. But what I'm saying though is yes, 100%. But he's only 24 years old. He signed that contract with them, if I remember correctly. I wonder if I could find it. Excuse me, people. Please hold the phone. Because I think Harris is signed for a while. The ATL. Michael Harris. Yeah, Harris is signed until 3032, basically. And well, I mean, till 2030. And then there's a club option for 31 and a club option for 32. He's making what, $8 million, eight. Yeah. So, you know, I agree. While he is not doing very well, um, he signed long term, which could hurt them, right? That's that's one of the things. I mean, he's you know, him being signed long term could hurt him. They do. They do. The Diamondbacks do. They have the two pitches in Kelly and Zach Gallen. Kelly's at the end of his contract. Zach Gallen, I believe, has a couple of years to go. Gallen is nope. Oh no, Gallen. This is Gallen's last contract. Oh wow, he's a free agent. And man, Merrill Kelly. So they have Kelly and Gallen from a pitching perspective of people that need pitching. Both of them are free agents, so they're at the end of their contract. So they could be they could definitely be available, for some teams. You know, when you look at the records though of teams, I think that's where it's that's where it becomes real interesting. Like the White Sox, they're out of it. The A's are out of it. The A's, I'm sure the A's would love to get out of Severino's contract. I just don't know who would take it. They're not going to trade any of their young pieces, knowing they're going to Vegas, right? So, Rooker, Wilson, Geloff, a bunch of those guys, Butler, they're not going anywhere. The Rockies, who do you want from the Rockies? Hunter Goodman, the catcher, is the only guy that comes to my mind. Yeah, yeah, those guys are out. I mean, if you look at the American League and you're looking at the wild card standings, there's only two teams that are double figures out, and that's the A's and the White Sox. The Orioles are 7.5. Guardians, Royals are 4.5. Angels are 4. Twins are 4. Rangers are 3.5. Tampa Bay's 1.5. So there's a lot of teams, still going to be in it. You look at the National League. The National League, you have the baseball team from Georgia, which is 9.5. Pittsburgh 13.5. Washington 14. Colorado 30. You got the Marlins at a 7.5. Marlins, they have Yuri Perez, which I don't think anybody would go after him. They have Sandy Alcantara, who, I mean, former Cy Young guy. I would say there's potential there. Edwin Cabrera, man, I'm sorry, Edwin Cabrera, you know, not the greatest stats. Nothing jumps off the board except that he's only, 27 years old. Well, that's true. The Marlins would trade their guys if they were in first place. So it's, again, they have a couple of pieces. I don't necessarily know if they would give up any of their hitters. From a pitching perspective, they have a couple of guys that I could see them potentially, moving on from. But again, otherwise, when you look at the records and stuff like that, there are too many people that are, too many teams that are still in it. I mean, again, that's why I think the next 10 days or 10 games, I should say, are going to be very, very interesting. If a Minnesota goes 2-8 over their next 10 and they go from 4 games out of the wild card to 8 games out of the wild card, might they all of a sudden become sellers when you don't think they would? You know, Cincinnati Reds, they're 2.5 games. They go 2-8. Next thing you know, they're 9.5 out. They're 8.5 out from there. Would they do it? They're probably not. Again, they're a young team. They got young guys. I don't know. It's gonna be real interesting. Um, Probably pretty cool is on in 2 weeks when we have the show on the 30th. if we got baseball guys that want to come on and talk, if you don't want to if you don't want to show your beautiful face, you don't have to. But we could talk trading deadline stuff. That'd be a pretty cool show to have on July 30th. Trade MLB trade deadline show the day before the deadline. See if we hear some stuff and everything. So I don't know. Pardon me. I'm just not sure what you potentially go ahead and have out there. There are a lot of teams in it. That's and I'm not sure who would be willing to give up a bunch of stuff. So, any other news? Any other news before we shut her down? Beal, then Clark was out versus the Liberty. One of the weirdest seasons. They are in most games all the way to the end, and they find a way to lose or can't find a clutch hit. Yeah, I mean they've gotten really. I mean it's weird. It's like when you we went to the game and against we went to the game. We went my son and I and a couple of his buddies. I think it was July 1st. It was a Tuesday night game when they played the Angels, and Grant Holmes pitched. And man, Grant Holmes pitched unbelievable. Like he went ahead and did really, really well that game. And his numbers are very misleading. He's 4-8, but man, the guy's a strikeout machine. His ERA is 3.7, which really is not bad. His whip's a little high; it's 1.3, but he strikes out a lot of guys. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. Nah, that's not true. He's probably 2-1 strikeout to walk, but he's 4-8. You know. Well, and then they have, you know, then they're, we were out to dinner and they had it on. It was like Buffalo Wild Wings won some kind of corporate award. If it's supposed to be about sports show, what the hell is Buffalo Wild Wings going ahead and winning an award for? Yeah. Uh, the only couple of things I've liked about the ESPYs are Stuart Scott's speech, and of course, repping the Jim Valvano speech. Those are the two best things to go ahead and come out of the ESPYs. So, but baseball is going to be really interesting. Again, looking forward. There are a couple of guys I wouldn't mind my New York Mets going after. Unfortunately, for the couple of guys that I would like to see them get, those teams are going to really have to do bad over these next 10 games because those teams are still in the hunt because of their records for wild card. Yes, I'm very surprised. Either that or he's out to dinner or something. So. um, hey, that's all I got, everybody. Very, yeah. It most definitely is. You know, um, you know, like Milwaukee. Will Milwaukee make a move to try and get ahead of the Cubs? The Mets are definitely going to make moves from everything we've heard. Now, I don't think it's going to be anything big. I think it's going to be more. They're going to try for more, and it irritates the crap out of me. They're going to try for some more, you know, what do you call it? You know, bargains what they could get, which irritates the crap out of me because we know we're a decent team. Uh, you know, I'm sure your Dodgers will make some kind of move just because they can. They feel they'll have to. What is Philadelphia going to do? What are the Cubs going to do? You know, you know, Tigers are interesting. Um, you know, when you look at the Tigers team, and you look at their stats, um, they've had some guys have years, the first half of years that are better than they've had, on a regular basis. So, Javi Baez, he was up a lot higher. He's starting to come back. What'll happen with Zach McKinstry? Um, I think Green, Torkelson, and Torres, I think you're okay there. But it's some of these other guys. What's going to happen? Then conversely, what happens if some of these guys get hot? What happens if Trey Sweeney is better? What happens if Colt Keith is better? Detroit is very interesting. They're a good baseball team. I think they'll probably win the division. Um, but I don't know after that. Love to see. I mean, so yeah, the Tigers are 11 and a half games up. If they go ahead and they lose that, that's going to be a big ass collapse. Will the Pirates trade Mitch Keller? Um, I think they would be silly if they didn't, because I think when you look the way I look at it this way, again, Big John, let's say things stay status quo the way they are right now, and teams are right, you know, a game out of the wild card plus or minus, and it's 2 weeks from tonight. It's July 30th. That opens up more teams for a Mitch Keller to get traded to. I like Mitch Keller. I would love to see the Mets get Mitch Keller. The the issue you have is Mitch Keller is signed, I believe, through 2028. Um, let me see. Yeah, Mitch Keller is signed through the 2028 season. So you have him locked up for 3 more years. That means he's going to cost probably a higher prospect that he should, but I think it would be really good. When I came back, that is a good addition. That is an addition that didn't cost you anything. Um, my only issue with that is how long of right now in the short term, I gotta believe he's going to be on some kind of potential innings or pitch count, because he just made one appearance so far this year. So I could see them easing him back in, which will be fine. I'd rather have him rip around ready to go at the end of the season than right now. It might be. It might be. I'm not 100% sure. They do. They have Bubba Chandler, who they like a lot, and Chandler, and Skeens, you know, um, are good. Jones getting hurt, yeah, that didn't do them any favors. Uh, so we'll see. I'm not 100% sure, what they could do. Keller again, he's 29 years old. Again, he signed for 3 more years. So you get him the rest of the year and 3 other years, and he tops out at 20 million. Again, I just think that because of that reason, because You get 3 years of him, and this year, um, I think Pittsburgh is going to probably ask a little more than what he's actually worth, in my opinion. Like I would love for the Mets to get him, but if they're going to say, "Hey, we want two of your top five prospects," no, because on the Mets team, Mitch Keller is probably your he probably slots in at number 4 behind Senga, Manaya, and Peterson. Two top 5 prospects for a number 4, not a good plan, in my opinion. But we will see. We will see. Only time will tell. You know, I mean, you know, I'm only hoping for one thing. I like my Mets to continue to do what they're doing, so I'm happy with that. Uh, the only other thing I really want to see, is the baseball team from Georgia doing really bad. That's pretty much it. If we can have that, I'll be happy with that. You know. Yeah, Bubba Chandler's the guy you're talking about. They have another kid, Connor Griffin. They have a couple of good pieces, not a lot, but they have a couple of good pieces there for Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens. Well, all right, everybody. Hey, thanks a lot for hanging out. Um, come on back next week. Maybe you know what? I think I love the baseball chat. Lawkin, love you being here. Thank you so much. Brandon, love you being here. Thank you so much. Anthony, Big John, Ziggy, know who's here. Card hobbyist. Thanks a lot, you guys, for going ahead and hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you spending time out of your nights to hang out and talk sports and everything. And again, if anybody wants to come on, just send me a message. I'll send you the StreamYard link. I really would love to do something in 2 weeks for for the baseball trading deadline. So if there's guys that would like to come on and talk, again, you don't have to show your face. That's fine with me. I don't care. And you can come on and we can have fun. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you, Brandon. Catch you guys later.